Alright, this request is really different from the normal ones I get. I got a request that intrigued my mind. I think it might be for the rarest Mortal Kombat character this side of Suhao. It's actually a character that's never been playable before, and that is Delia, who has only been really seen in Mortal Kombat Armageddon as far as the actual story mode. So today I'm actually going to try to give a playable fighting game design to a non-playable character, which is kind of a first for me, so here we go. Alright, so I got requested to do a design for Delia from the Mortal Kombat franchise. For those who aren't aware, she's the goddess that's worshipped to in Mortal Kombat 1. She actually isn't a goddess, she's a sorceress. I don't know why this confusion is in certain character dialogues, it's very weird, but she married Argus, who of course is the former god of Edenia. She also serves as the mother to Taven and Dagon, who are the protagonists and antagonists of Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Two characters that I'm actually a fan of that haven't seen the light of day since Mortal Kombat Armageddon, by the way. For the record, Dagon's way better than Taven is. But I got asked to do a design for this one, and it piqued my interest solely because it's giving a design to a character that's never actually been playable in Mortal Kombat but still has a somewhat significant part to the story. It's Delia's visions in Mortal Kombat Armageddon that actually sets Taven and Dagon off on the useless quest that they went on. Seriously, that was a lot of work for them to go through all that quest, get 2 dragons killed just for Shao Kahn to end up winning, but in any event. The idea of her being playable in the game almost is like a major Edenian sorceress outside of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi was very interesting to me. The only other sorcerer that we've really gotten in the Mortal Kombat franchise that I can think of off the top of my head is actually Rain in MK1, and that's somewhat of a new story change, yet somehow still in a sort of 6 degrees of separation way sort of ties into Delia, considering Rain is the bastard son of her husband. So what I'm going to do now is actually see what a character design for this, I guess I can't call her an NPC, but she really was a non-playable character in the Mortal Kombat franchise. See what this looks like.
What are these images supposed to represent? That looks like Mother having one of her visions.
Okay, so I started off with her base pose and then came to the realization that I did a lot of detail in the structure of her face for no reason. Because it's Delia, I knew I was going to keep the hooded look on her design just because I think it looks cool. Her design by itself already looks pretty interesting. It just, to me, it doesn't look like somebody that would be in a fight. So my goal was to kind of take her basic design that she's already had, make it look more Mortal Kombat sorcerer-like, or sorceress I should say, and make her look like she would actually be in a fight in a Mortal Kombat game. So I figured she needed some type of shield piece or some type of little protective armor going over top of her shoulders. This is becoming a bit of a staple for Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, so I gave it to her here too, and there was nothing like that on her original design to begin with. I kept the weird strap design over her upper body, another aspect of her original design that looked cool. I'm not gonna lie, there was certainly a lot to play with her design because there's certain things that looked cool in her original, so I kinda got to add those elements and then just play with other aspects of her just because there was nothing there. Like, it's the most simplistic yet interesting design that she had in Armageddon, and I just get to just do whatever I want with it. So I gave her extra arm pads. There are these weird golden pieces that I put on different straps of her design. Not really a rhyme or reason, just to make it look more interesting, I guess. And then I didn't put shoes or anything on her feet. I don't know why. I felt like that would also make her look different. She almost has like these weird toe straps that almost look like heels but kinda aren't. Almost like she looks like she should be walking on her tippy toes. I don't know why she would be, but just weird character traits that just was running through my mind for her. She didn't have these in the original game, by the way. It's just stuff that I was spitballing, trying to think of weird ways that she would appear that would almost make her gameplay look interesting too. But anyways, after that, and then the weird hooded headpiece that she has, that also looks interesting. I started with her line art. Tracing back over her details, I had to do a lot of mapping for certain aspects of her design too, just because it didn't add up from left to right when I initially did it. Not sure how much it actually does in the finished product as well. I just know it lines up a lot better because I tried to at least measure it the second time through. And then going from there, I was able to start on her actual coloring. Before I continue, just to let everybody know, if you like these designs that I do and are interested in my content on the channel, which is art, fighting game, anime, comic book related, I got all sorts of stuff up here. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Now getting back to the coloring of this picture. So I wanted to keep a similar color scheme to what she already had, but I also wanted to add black to it, so her design is somewhat close in color, but just small aspects to make it a little different. I only remember black really being in her hood in the original design. I don't recall it being anywhere else. So as opposed to a lot of the other recent designs that I've done where I've had to do a lot of guesswork with the color scheme, this one was pretty spot on. Then it was a question as to whether or not I wanted metal pieces on her to look more silverish or whether I wanted to look gold, and I went with gold just because once again it matches the original design a lot more. Would have been cool to see what silver would have looked like, but nah. So after finished coloring that, I went ahead and started the shadows. Once again, the shadowing of this was also very easy. I knew most of my shadows would be on the left side of the character and I'd have the majority of my highlights on the right side. And then between that and the fact that she had the hood covering her face, like I can't explain how relieving it was to be able to shade a character's face and not have to worry about like their hair and eyes or anything like that. Like, oh my God, was that so refreshing. I didn't realize how much of a lifesaver and how fun it was to be able to skip that part until I was actually doing it. It's the weirdest thing. You love drawing these characters, but at the same time, any shortcuts you can take or a chance to be lazy in your approach or technique, you're definitely going to take it from time to time. Now, one interesting thing, shaded I don't even know what I would call it, like the cloth on her actual forearms. I shaded that differently to make the material look different. So I used a brush instead of the regular sort of pen that I would use to do the shade normally. And I also went ahead and did the same thing on her stockings as well, even though I had to go back and do that a second time. So I finished in the shading there, and then it was on to the highlights, which was also pretty spot on and sort of self-explanatory. It's weird how somehow her design made where I needed to put shadows and highlights extremely obvious, more than normal, and I can't really tell you why that's the case, to be quite honest. It just felt like the design almost showed me where the highlight should be at, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But it was very simple to do. And I really started to like this design a lot more as I was doing the highlights of her skin as well. But I went ahead and finished the highlights of the character and then went back at the very end and did all the specular highlights, sort of extremely bright white shines in different places of her skin and certain materials of her clothes, specifically where a lot of the black materials are on her gear. And she was finished, and I had this brand new Delia of Mortal Kombat, one that would look playable. For a sorceress, which I'm actually amazed there's so few of in Mortal Kombat history, I feel like this is a good enough design. I can't lie, that was a very interesting request I got because I never would have thought of anything like this on my own. To see Delia in the game would be very cool. Hell, to see Taven and Dagon back would be interesting as well, but that's a whole other conversation. In any event, let me know what you think of the design in the comments below. Also, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and let me know how you feel about her as a character and this design in general. And you all have a good one, and I'm out.